Hi, I'm Stephanie Lester, fibre artist, and I've just come on very, well, not quickly even, more ad hoc. Normally I prepare workshop videos, completely top and tailed, and work along all the way through. But I've had a couple of people come up on the YouTube channel and asked me if I could give them some help. And basically, at the moment, I can't actually do a full video of those particular pieces, so I thought I'll try and go live. Then it turns out that YouTube didn't want me to go live today. So I thought, right, I'm not going to then try again tomorrow and again. I thought I'll just come on and I'll do a very quick video and I'll load it up to YouTube. So even though it's not live for you guys, it's just very quick and hopefully give you some help. And if you've got any questions, you can come back and we can go from there. But I didn't want to not do anything. So this specifically, the questions were asked, one by Stephanie about the sleepy fox, new to needle felting, and just wanted help to get started with that one. And the other one was from Mia about the yellow lab, and she was just struggling with the main shape of the body. She thinks it might be the wire, so we'll have a little look at that. So just to start off, we'll go with the sleepy fox. So I'm just going to move these little bits of yellow lab away so as not to get confusing. I'm just going to slightly move the camera because, as I say, this is me makeshift in my little studio today as opposed to being completely set up like we normally are. So hopefully you can bear with me. So let me just pop this up and then I'm going to bend it forward. Excuse my hands and the wobbliness of this. Okay, right. I can still see, and hopefully, yeah, so okay, I think that's overhead enough for me to be able to show you. Let me move that a little bit forward. Okay, I've got all the wool here for the fox. So, Stephanie, first time you've ever needle felted. So I just need to firstly explain you've got 3 needles in your pack, 2 of which you can just tape together. And the only reason for that is so that you can do double stabbing, making it quicker when you get to those parts. Okay, now the instructions. I like to go through the instructions a little bit just so that next time, hopefully, it might make a bit more sense. So that she's looking around for her pipe cleaners that she put somewhere. Might have to just grab 2 of these just for the sake of time because I've put them down somewhere like I do so many things. Right. Oh, perhaps it was in that one. There you go. Anyway, right. Oh, it's probably those 2, isn't it? It's those 2 green ones. There you go. Found them. Oh, if you didn't need convincing, this was ad hoc. There you go. Right. So you will have your instructions, just making sure you will have your instructions in front of you, and you'll see that you've been asked to create just basically to tie, twist, whatever the word is, the pipe cleaners together. There we go. And this is just to make so you've got a stronger. And this just gives you a nice structure for this curved fox. So, okay, we have that. Doesn't have to be any particular way, just, and it's nice and it's got a structure. It means you can create your bend and you've got something to start with, basically. So let's get on to the wool. You have all this wool, my goodness. Core wool. Okay, and then we've got our beautiful fox colour and we've got our shading for eyes and contours on the body, which I think is explained. I suspect that being a newbie, you just want a bit of help, as in how on earth do you get the felting started in the shapes and everything. First of all, I always suggest you divide up the wool. and on this occasion I suggest you divide it up into quarters. So I've actually just folded this so it's in its quarter. Okay, best way to pull apart wool is to take it wide. If you take it in here, you'll never pull it apart. Take it wide, pull, done. Okay, do that in the other. It doesn't have to be completely even. As I always say, this is an art and not a science. Okay, so my idea is here is we will then have 3 sections to start with, and I'll take my 4th over there, and I will pull that in half for the head and put that over here. I always like to have a bit of spare. Okay, that's the idea there. So head, body, and then the tail end. Okie dokie. So head, as you can see, the instructions say do the little shape of the head. Now let me make sure I'm going along with what it says, because I want to make it easier for you to follow. Okay, yes, so make the head by loosely wrapping approximately 2 grams of wool around the end of the twisted pipe cleaners, needle felting gently to attach the wool to itself. Yeah, you're not shaping at this point in time. So it's quite good to understand, if we're looking at our fox here, that what you're actually creating here is your head, your body, and then this piece isn't just the tail as such, okay? If you look at your curled round fox here, basically your pipe cleaner is going from here round here, but you've also got that little bump, which is the back leg. So you see you've got the body, you've got the back leg and the tail, but that end piece that will seem to put quite a lot on for the tail is because you will want to divide it up and actually add a bit for the foot. I say that just because that's the biggest question I get asked when we're doing any of the sleepy ones, is how come we're making such a big tail? Okay, so just to get you started then also with my small piece. Once again, I don't take the whole thing and wrap it all round. I'm very much layer it up, get going and see how you go. Less is more. Right, so let me just think easy way to divide it up. I mean, it's not thirds, because thirds, that will be too much. So it's probably a 1/5 really, okay? Bit of an estimate. What we want to do now is to wrap this wool around. To start with the felting, you want to make sure you've not left it too flouncy. I'm just going to pick up my mat here. If I just left it really fluffy like that and then started to stab into it, it would just take me hours to felt that in. Whereas if I do it tightly round my finger like that and then started felting, I mean, I've got a shape already, you see? So if you take out as much of the air as you can to start with, you're basically already tacking it on. I use this word tacking on quite a lot because you can basically rip it off when you're at that early stage. It's the great thing about felting. These wonderful needles, which are like I call them the medium, good all round needles. You know, you haven't got it solid to start with, so you've got plenty of room for manoeuvre. Okay, so to start with then, I am going to wrap. Okay, I'm hanging on to this end here and I'm going to wrap around and wrap. Not doing any of the needle felting at this stage, I really am just wrapping. Now, whilst it's not as tight as a drum or anything, and I'm not worried about leaving a little bit of the green pipe cleaner there because I'm going to be adding a bit more later. Okay, and now I'm going down and then I'm just adding a little bit more around there. So really I've got a bit of a sausage on the end there, and I am now, shall I take my 2 needles or shall I take my 1 needle? She says looking for her 2 needles. There they are. Right, I'll take my 2 needles I've and I'm literally just lightly stabbing them in. Now, as a newbie, you just need to know that when you're stabbing here, what you don't need to do is to stab all the way through to the mat. The mat is there just protecting. What you're really trying to do is to felt halfway in, okay? Bearing in mind the barbs are there, you don't need to take them all the way through. You just need to go in halfway. You're just trying to get everything. Think of trying to attach it to the pipe cleaner without actually hitting the pipe cleaner, okay? So nice light stabs. Also, when people break the needles, it's because they put it in at one angle and then they move it before they actually take it out, okay? And I think sometimes that happens if you try and stab too fast to start with. Sometimes you'll see somebody who's been felting for a long time doing very quick stabs, but that's just because they've got their technique. Do not think you have to do it fast. You don't, okay? It's meant to be enjoyable. It doesn't have to be quick. So here I am. I'm just really lightly stabbing, and I'm just confirming the shape that I've already put together. And at this stage, I can squash bits up. It looks like a very small mouse and a very long tail, doesn't it? Now, I'm going to have a little look at the picture, because it's always good to have a little reference to the picture to say, yes, I need to add some more. Okay, I need to add some more around that part of the face, so it's more of an egg shape. So once again, I'm going to pull that bit in half that I've got there already, and then I'm going to wrap a little bit tighter, just round like that, and so that I can once again just stab it in. Okay, so as we can see, not very organic at the moment, not meant to be. We're just building up the bulk so that we can add some shape to it in a bit. But the idea is that at the moment it can still be moved around if we're not happy exactly where everything is. Here I'm just stabbing a little bit more where I know I'm going to get the nose, and then I'm going to get puffed up part of the head, basically. Let's just add a little bit more on the top. And here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll up a little shape, a little cushion, and put it on the top, because I just don't want to put the same amount underneath. Okay, I'm looking to see if you can see me. I'm hoping you can see me. Okay. I'm hoping I'm shouting loud enough for the microphone, because I have to say this was a bit of a Heath Robinson earlier, me trying to get this to go live on YouTube. And then YouTube said basically I have to wait. So hopefully, if you have any more questions after this, I will be able to go live on YouTube so that you can come on and ask me. Okay. Anybody who's watching this who uses Facebook, please do go and join my two Tinks, Tips and Tutorials. Oh my goodness, I can never remember that. And ask questions in there, and I can actually easily go live on Facebook. I will be able to easily go live on YouTube once I've sorted it out. I do love a new forum, I have to say. So we will get there. Okay, so I really am just making vague shapes here, okay? Excellent, making sure I've got all my pieces. Lovely. Okay, that's those bits. I'm going to just put one last piece over it all. Okay, so I'm going to go over like that, and then I'm just going to wrap one over the front, and that ends up underneath. Tack that in. But as I say, this is just the beginning part. Hopefully, Stephanie, you can see how this is very much playing as you go. There's no absolute right way of doing it. I mean, everybody who does this kit, you will find you all have a completely different fox. And especially if it's your first time, do not be hard on yourself. Just go with the flow. There we go. And learn the process. And you'll see how very quickly with these needles, it's still nice and squishy. The difference, if you were felting really hard, this will get very small. I will show you in a minute. The one that I've done, not from this kit, I hasten to add, not from this kit, but it's where I've felted it a lot harder, and it's ended up a lot smaller. Okay, so there you go. So there you've got your little egg shape, or my little mouse as I call it, and the long tail. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go with the showing how to do the body, and then I'm going to talk you through the rest, and hopefully that gives you enough to get going. Okay, I will hopefully be doing a full workshop later for anybody else that needs it, but it's just best, I think, at the moment if I just talk you through it so that we can get you started as soon as possible. So make the tummy by loosely wrapping approximately 8 grams around the middle of the wire. So that's why we've got our double lots over here rather than the smaller bits over there. Needle felt gently to attach the wall to itself, forming a rough egg shape. We love the egg shape in needle felting, which is narrow at the neck and a bit of a nice bottom. Yep, make sure we leave about 10 centimetres of pipe cleaner at the end. So I'm going to get my little measuring thing out here just to make sure. About 10 centimetres, yeah. Okay, I'm going to follow that up that way just so that I don't go over the top with that. So one of my quarters that I've got over here, and I'm going to split it in half, and then I'm going to split it in half that way, so that I'm going to initially cover just the length of it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tack that end into the head. Okay, and then we just do the wrapping, like I say, not tight as a drum, but we're basically squeezing out that air as much as we can, and it's quite good because it'll catch on to those pipe cleaner fibres, which is great. Okay. Put those together. Right, now I'm just lightly tacking that end piece down because I don't want it unravelling, which, to be honest, I think it's quite well that it's wrapped round. So you see how I've literally just tacked that on, tacked it in that end, tacked it down there, and it's fairly sturdy in its place. Okay, so once again, that's going to be the top of my head. This is going to be my body. Okay, and I need to pay attention to the fact that I'm having a thinner neck and a fatter bottom, as we say. Okay, so again, let me just tack that end down. So I've got my anchor. Okay, here we go. Tack that down again. Lovely. And once again, I suspect it's with this body that we're going to add some from my stash over there. I need to make that bottom nice and big, don't I? Right, and there we go. Make sure I don't go over my allotted body shape. Just going around now, loosely felting that wall together into the first bit which we've put in. There we go. Not too worried about it and its shape and everything at this stage, really just making sure it's all attached to each other. I'm not going to spring out. Okay, once again, come round. Still got my bit of a sausage, so I know that I'm always wary of the fact that I'm going to have my round shape. So I'm just tucking that little bit in. My little nose, I think, is spreading. Got a spreading nose, so if you've got the same thing, just tuck it in a bit to its previous wall. There we go. Lovely. Right, so yeah, so I'm conscious that this is going to come round. In fact, I'm looking at the moment, I'm just looking at that 6 and 8 where you've got your shape coming around. I like to think how I'm going to have him so that I know, right, I'm going to put a bigger bit there on my next piece. Okay, so this is when I'm taking off. Earlier when I put half of the face piece separate and then I had that whole quarter extra. I'm going to put that in half, and this is where I'm gonna make his nice big bottom, I think. There we go, wrap round there, wrap round there. Once again, if I hold it down and tack it in, it's a lot easier than if I just go like this into flouncy wall, which is up, because I've actually got to, number one, get it in to start with, and then it will start felting it. So I hold it down. I mind my fingers, obviously. You see, I'm being careful not to go stabbing right the way through. I'm actually doing it fairly shallowly because I'm actually just stabbing the wall back into the previous layers, yeah? I'm not stabbing right down to the bottom. There we go. Once again, conscious of my sort of almost croissant shape, isn't it, that we need? Still see, yeah. Okay. There we go. Just going to tuck that bit in there. Now, I would suggest this might take you a little longer to just go around and keep making sure that it's all nicely tucked in, that you've got your little, as I say, I call it almost croissant shape, isn't it, here, where it's going to come around, because we're going to do the tail here, and if we look at that final bit, the tail comes in, okay, tail comes in, and the head goes round here, so we will need to fill in a little bit more there. But basically the tail bit is there, but the bit on the inside will be the leg. So we'll fill up this end bit in the same way they have this, but we'll end up just putting a channel and making that bigger bit, so that's its leg. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, right, we're on to the tail bit now. So I've got the last piece, which I think I've got far too much of, but that's fine. Once again, I'm going to pull it in half that way, put it in half that way, and get wrapping. And attach it to the bottom. And then I probably didn't attach that well enough, did I? Because I can see some green already. Okay. Let's attach a bit of the back. Put my two needles together slightly. Okay. Okay. And on the way. I can fill in any gaps later, but let's just tack that down. So again, I should refer back, shouldn't I, to the for you. Okay, so this is number 4, making the tail. Yeah, make the tail by loosely wrapping approximately 5 grams of wool around the remaining pipe cleaner. Bring the tail to a rough point. Now gently felt the 3 sections together, poking the needle all different angles between the sections to join them together. Yep, don't worry about them being totally secure, as they will be covered in fox wool, and you should have something that resembles a croissant. Well, there you go. That's what we've been talking about. So I'm just going to, once I've seen you to this shape bit, I'm going to leave you and go on to the Labrador. I was going to say horse. What on earth am I on about horse? Because I think once you get started, Stephanie, hoping that the rest of the instructions will make sense. I'll have a quick look at them just to see if there's anything that I think, oh, that might be a little confusing. Once again, look, I'm wrapping more around the top. Okay, this time, so that I've actually got the point at the end. And here I am just tacking them down. And as it says in the instructions, in a minute, you need to go along, make sure it's all together, use bits of the extra wool that you've got to put in between, because if you've got gaps here, which you probably will do, just get yourself a piece of the wool, lay it over it, even do it that way. Bearing in mind, this is not the top coat, okay? This is the core wool. So if you need to put a little patch on, put a little patch on. You know, if you need to do it like that, just to join them up, then do that. So we join things together with the wool here. Okay, right. Let me just stab a little bit more. Once again, being careful. I am terrible at putting my fingers in the way. Quite a bad example, really. So just be very careful. Do not look up whilst you're stabbing. I guess is a good thing to say. Right, I'm going to take another half piece of that just to get this, because bearing in mind, as I say, that's going to come round here and then a little head on top. And this is going to be, this part's going to be the tail, and this bit's going to be the back leg. So I want to give a nice bit there, so that that can be turned easily into that. See what I mean? Yeah, hopefully. And I just push that way with my fun pushing it so that the clump of that going towards the inner bit there, because that's where the leg, bearing in mind you're not actually making a leg, you're just doing a little mark as to that's where the leg will be tucked in. Oh, I was going to show you my little fox. Oh, we'll do in a minute. To show you. Okay, so yeah, that's his little one like that. Lovely. I also like to, yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, you can tuck it underneath even, and felt that together if you wanted to. But you see how here I would want to add a bit more round his shoulder area. I think I've actually got that bit fairly good, and I'd want to add a bit more to the shoulder. So here, once again, I don't want to actually put it underneath as well, so I would just fold them, give myself a little cushion as such, and place that on, and then flatten it down and stab that in. And that was how I would add a chunk, as it were, because, as I say, the fox, that lovely fox, will be going over the top, and you'll have plenty of room for, in fact that's where you actually define the leg, is using the fox. Okay, so I'm just going to tack that round there. So this is where you need to now go round, making sure it's all connected, having a look to see whether you need to add a chunk like I've just done there, and also define the face a little bit, because I've got a nice mouse and you need to put in a bit of shape where the eyes will go like this. So you would just stab a lot in that same area, okay, and then it eventually gives way to your will, as it were. There we go, and you start to shape it. Okay, so you just tighten it up, and in fact I would probably pull that round and tighten that up. Okay, so let me just add that a bit better. Okay, so hopefully, Stephanie, that will get you started on that, and then if you have more questions as you go, shout, and we'll see if we're able to actually pop on. Hopefully, once I've got this ability to do the live on YouTube, it'll be a doddle then. Like everything, it's just getting it initially set up. Okay. It's one of those things here now where you're just going to be stabbing a lot, and as I say, it's not interesting really to watch somebody else do it, which is why I won't sit here and do this for you to watch me doing it. I'm hoping you've got the gist. Right, so as I say, that's my vague croissant shape. I would need to now go round, tidy it up, make sure I make that smaller for the nose. If you see on page figure 5 where they've got those dents for the eyes, so I can actually bring my tail under there like that. That's a nice shape, yeah. And then I know that when I come to doing the fox, I can put a bigger piece of the fox colour on there, and that will help define that tail versus the leg. and concentrate on things like the ears. So I think the only thing which is really different is the ears. Right, let me just give you my clue. What colour do we say to use? Fox. Okay. Let me just show you how to do flat shapes. So the ears are triangle in shape. So get your mat, lay your, quite thin, in fact it's quite good to start off fairly thin, otherwise you might end up too thick too early, and literally draw the shape, and on this occasion you are slightly stabbing into the polystyrene or whatever. It's not polystyrene, is it? It's I don't know what it's officially called actually, but anyway, so there's your shape. Okay, fold it in on the shape and just stab slightly at the edges. Okay, and then the other side where I tacked it down, as it were, pull that in. Okay. Now, depending on the size and everything of your particular fox, you'll need to decide on the size of the ears, but bear in mind this is still very soft, and when I pick this up in a minute, now I'm doing this quite shallowly, as you can see, at an angle. It's fine doing it at an angle, just go in and out at the same thing, just so that I don't stab it too much into the mat. Now, just lightly pull that up. Now that's still very light, isn't it? So I could well look at my fox and say, well, they're huge, and go, right, fair enough. I'll just play around with that a bit, and then I'll say, yeah, actually, I think it should be a bit more like that. It's quite nice to have a nice big flailing bit, because that helps you to attach it, okay? So I quite like that, so I'm going to add a bit more by laying just some down, laying my shape on top, and once again just folding over it. Okay, it just means I can add light bits, it won't get too thick too early, and then you just keep stabbing. Now, little tip, if you've stabbed away and it's obviously all connected and not falling apart, but you're struggling to make it thin enough, firstly, take it in your hand and just give it a nice iron with your hand, okay, if you know what I mean. I've cut my bottom hand still, my right hand is just rubbing it in, and that's just giving it that nice, basically taking all the air out of it, okay, and that's quite nice. A nice stab again. If you still want a bit of help, iron it, quite literally. Get your iron and iron it, and it will be flat and pretty strong. And then even if it's good practice to stab around until you get the right shape, because let me get a business card a moment. She said I knew I've got one down here somewhere. Okay. If you want to make those bits there less flimsy, get a business card or something. This is where you will protect your fingers, and you can just put your line at the top. Can you see that? And then you can just stab into it and make it nice and neat if you want to. Or get your little pair of scissors and just take off the ends. Okay, it all depends when you're first starting, whether you'd just like to get something finished, or whether you'd like to, you know, really get something looking perfect as you go. You know what sort of crafter you are, so only you can make that decision. Okay, so that's how you do ears. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that I need to tell you about. No, I think that will get you going. Like I say, we've got our little croissant that you can get around. Got your little head, showing you how to make the ears. hopefully that will get you going. If you have any questions, please do put it under this video in the YouTube, and hopefully we'll be able to come on and actually do a live with you once I've actually got that sorted. Okay, brilliant. Moving on to our Labrador. That's it. Okay. So let me put that up there. Get my little Labrador down. Lovely. Bum, bum, bum. Out the way. Cool. I have a box here somewhere, don't I? Right. Now, Mia, you said you had a problem with the shape and you think it was down to the wire. I think that's what you said. So I don't know if that means that you think you may have got the wire wrong, or whether once you produce the wire, whether you then found that difficult to add wool to it. So firstly, here's the one I made. You can see I don't mind about it not being perfect. I've got extra bits hanging off here because I can just bend those back up when I get to that stage. I quite like, and like with the tail, huge tail there. Pretty sure we don't have a huge tail. Well, I've got a bit of a tail. So that's so that I can, you know, wrap even longer tail or cut it off. Pretty sure I'm going to be cutting off some of these foot lengths and that piece specifically out. Now, if your body looked absolutely nothing like that, then shout and I will hopefully come back on a live for you and show you how to do that. It is just, I basically, when I do my just turning the page, I did pretty much follow this, and I cut the 15 centimetres for the long, 15 centimetres there, 18 centimetres for those, in half, then did the shape. And to be honest, I know it says not to scale in here, but I pretty much followed that with mine on there. So I think it can't be guaranteed to scale, but that's what I used. I used that and then that. Okay, so I followed that. And that's where I got to. So I'm now just going to, once again, similarly to with the fox, just show you about wrapping. But let me just read the instructions, because I haven't actually done this one before. So let me check that I'm not telling you to do something completely different as in here. So 5, cover the spine with a layer of wool, begin at the head, work your way down the spine, tear off a small weft of wool and tightly wrap it around the pipe cleaner to help the wool to stick. You can rub a little hair wax on the pipe cleaner before wrapping, gently felt the wool in place, poke at an angle, take care to avoid twisting or bending the felting needle, try not to hit the pipe cleaner. Yeah, so that's that. And then 6, you add on the bolt. Build up the tummy chest, tear off a weft of wool, slightly prise apart the front legs to create the shoulders. Felt, yeah, okay, so because you need to get these shoulders in place. So let me just do a little bit of that. I'm just going to move that wool out the way. That was obviously an example. Right, let me get a bit out of the actual kit. As I say, I like to actually divide up the wool very much, because then I always know, oh, I've done half already type thing. So I pull it into quarters. There we go. So always hold it. Oh, that's twisted, do you see? Because that's twisted, that's a bit, there we go. Okay, amazing how strong wool is. Right, so quarters. So always start thinking, right, okay, I've got a quarter here. I am just going from the head down the spine. Right, I'm actually going to pull that widthways, and I'm going to start like that. Okay. Now then, which way shall we go? Okay, well actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to start halfway, bit of veg matter there, and I am going to just lightly wrap. You see how I am? If you just wrapping it round, it will pretty much attach itself without me doing any stabbing at all. Okay, now this one. Okay, I'm going to just do the same. When I get to the joint, I am going to do a crisscross just to help keep that joint where it should be, and then come down the spine. And I'm not going to go along the tail because I don't think I want to make that tail really thick. I'll just leave it at the end there and bring that in place, and I'm just going to lightly stab that end in because I don't want it to unravel. There we go. Okay, I always, every time I get to the end, think, right, okay, I'm gonna have to make a bit of a shape. Start making sure those legs are apart, and that is going to need shoulders. I don't want them all tight in the middle, so I start separating them as I go already. Okay. Okay, and up to you how much you want to stab at this stage, just to make sure. Depends how tightly you've wrapped it. If you haven't wrapped it very tightly, you might want to just stab it in slightly. Now then, let me pick another piece, another thin piece. Okay, and I'm going to start once again, put him in the middle, go down this way, do a crisscross the other way. Just like to keep those little pieces, right, and this I'm doing a tack in again. Okay, take the top end and just take it up to there. Bearing in mind, when you make needle felted sculptures, they go through this amazing alien stage where you think, what on earth? It's never going to look like whatever it is you're making. You just have to keep the faith and keep going. Okay, there we go. So there we go. As I say, I keep this pipe cleaners long because it just helps me to sort out where I am, and I can hold on to it easier while I'm pulling it about. Always just continually pulling it about into the shape you want to be. Every time you add a piece, you think, oh, okay, are those feet meant to be? Keep looking at that picture and going, okay, yeah, so the feet out like that, those ones in like this. I may end up, you know, chopping these right back, but once you put that body shape on, you'll be amazed at how much gets sort of covered up. But that's the thing. If you leave them long, you've got the option. You can just chop them off. So I'm just going to show you about 6 and 7A, I think. What do they say? So I just want to follow exactly what they say so that then it's easier to understand all the way through. Build up the tummy and chest area, tear off a weft of white wool, slightly prise apart the up and front legs to create shoulders, felt the wool in place, beginning at the neck down the chest, between the legs down the tummy, gently felt in place. Refer to images of Labradors and keep adding more wool to achieve the right shape. Don't worry about the length of the legs. There you go. These can be cut down to size later. Boom. Oh yeah, in 7 you work on the legs, okay. Oops. Okay. Okay, now work on the legs. Firstly, decide on the length of the legs by sitting the dog down. Create haunches. Okay, yeah. So that takes you through creating your haunches, deciding where they all goes. Okay. So that's with your pieces here. Okay. When I'm going to zoom through to this bit. When you're trying to do like this curved piece within the leg, the easiest way to do that, because obviously you want to fill in the center. You don't want to have a huge bulk around here whilst trying to fill in the center. So it's kind of like a crisscross. Let me show you. Pull that there. Okay, so you start that side and then you go back over to that side. So you can see how I've done a little cross. I've gone over, come back up and gone to there. So I'm almost ignoring that bit, but you will see it just fills up without you even going anywhere near it. And then over that way, suddenly you're full up. Okay, I'm just going to pull that off. You can see how that dog's leg in the centre there is full just by doing that crisscross. Just wanted to show you that. Okay, obviously I would stab that down a lot more. Right, so doing the body. Now, I quite often here, this is where we're going to open those and make sure we've got a nice big. So I'm going to just strengthen that area by doing crisscross. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap it round that. There we go. And then when I've got that bit left there, I'm going to kind of roll that up and just keep it on the chest. And then I'm going to get my needle and stab it in. I'm going to say what I said earlier. This is an art and not a science. So I'm looking from 2 needles there. It's an art and not a science. If you think, oh, mine doesn't look like that, just add a bit wherever you need to. And, you know, I'm showing you ways of doing it, but basically you can do it however you like. Now, I'm being careful not to hit the wire, obviously. I'm not stabbing like mad. I'm just feeling my way in. The action of felting isn't done any better because you're stabbing at it from a great height or doing it, you know, really, really fast. So go careful to start with. Get confident before you go mad at it. Right, I've just tacked that down and now I'm gonna just tack this bit down, which just comes to there. Okay, so Mia, I'm not sure if this is answering your questions about shaping. I obviously going to put this video up so that you can actually have a look at it. If it was actually doing the wire part that made you feel like you hadn't got it right, then shout and I'll come back on and show you how I did that. But I often think the wire part doesn't matter so much because you can bend it around. You know, even if you think, oh, that was wrong, bend it around until it looks right. Okay, look at that. Looks like a little dinosaur, doesn't it? Excellent. Exactly how it should look at this stage. Love it when it looks hilarious at these stages. Just brilliant. Yeah, so what we're trying to do here is, let's get to the front, is fill up that nice chest bit. Get him some nice legs, those haunches filled, and then we'll deal with those longer legs in a minute. But let's put him into his little shape there. Yeah, make sure you don't fill that neck up too much because obviously we want to then add that little head. But like I say, there we go, bend the little head into shape, that's better. Looks a little bit better up there. Just keep checking back and making sure and thinking, yes, as I say, you cannot tell me that does not look like a dinosaur. Yeah, of course it does. But I will just keep on felting and adding and get into the shape. I will hopefully do a workshop where we can do it all together at some point, but hopefully this will get you started. I did promise to show the fox. I'm so sorry. I hope whoever was interested, Stephanie was interested, but if anyone else was interested in the fox, you didn't run off. Right, so here's a fox that I made, not from the kit, I hasten to add. Okay, let me show you that way around. So I just want to show you that this is how, you know, that curls around and then they have that big leg there. So that's what you're going to be doing with that final tail that you've done, that side will be flatter and then you'll be creating that look of that leg there. Okay, that's it. That's me done. Oh, just under an hour. Wow. Okay. As I say, write your comments. Hopefully by tomorrow. Just say it was going to make me wait 24 hours before I could do a live. Hopefully by tomorrow I will be able to do a live if needed. So shout. If I've managed to show you what you need to show, brilliant. If not, come back and ask me some more. Okay. I will, speak to you online.